It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the two movies of Thanksgiving weekend 2004, a day late and a dollar short. Like I've said in the Reviewing Network Live episode on the other channel, I've been at Steel City Con this past weekend, so there's been a little bit of delay in certainly this show and the Movie Stop episode, which is going to be condensed down to one episode. So that's going to be coming up either tonight or tomorrow. I'm still I'm still very tired from bringing everything back home after we were done, but that's for another time. You're here to hear me talk about the two movies that we have this weekend, and I'd honestly like to talk more about Steel City Con than have to relive these two abominations, especially this first movie we have here, the infamous film with Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis, and that is Christmas with the Cranks. It's also a cult. I'm not even kidding. The way that people act in this town about Christmas and how it's blasphemous if you don't celebrate it in this is just unbelievable. This is the ultimate definition of a white people problems movie. And this is coming from a white person. This is one of the most unbelievably bad movies ever made. This is a film that I said last time, some people debate whether or not this is even worse than Surviving Christmas. And, honestly, Surviving Christmas is bad, but this might be even worse, and that's really saying a whole lot. In this, you have Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis, who play a couple who, essentially, they decide to skip Christmas one year since their daughter is away. Their daughter, played by Julia Gonzalo, she's going off to Peru for a assignment in the Peace Corps, and, they decide, let's skip Christmas, let's go to Hawaii, and, in any other sense, it would make a lot of sense. I mean, the family's not there together. They don't really want to celebrate the holiday in general, so go somewhere else. Take time for yourself. Not in this neighborhood. The neighbors really hate it, and they do whatever they can by any means necessary to force Christmas down on them so hard to the point where it's literally heading into stalker territory. This is like a neighborhood that run by Fox News or anchors. I mean, it's pretty much that. Like, it's pretty much on that level. Like, if you even say, don't even say Merry Christmas and say Happy Holidays, like, you would be surprised. I would guarantee you they pull War on Christmas crap on you. But don't worry, it gets even stupider from there, because their daughter, who flies to Peru on the Sunday following Thanksgiving, and now on Christmas Eve, is calling them saying, I'm gonna fly back home for Christmas, and let's make sure the party is there, and oh, by the way, I want you to meet my boyfriend, who I literally met a month ago, and we're gonna get married. That literally happens in this movie. But it gets even crazier from there, because now they have to scramble to get all the stuff together after literally alienating the whole town, which really, they're the ones that aren't the guilty party here. It's everyone else that keeps forcing their ideals on them about the fact that you can't skip Christmas, you blasphemer. But then when they need it the most, it's just like, hey, we don't know. Like, it's like the movie is literally, we don't know. Just, are you entertained by it? Are you sitting in the chair? Have you not gotten out of your seat yet? We got your money already, so so thank you for that. But I'm just kind of rambling on you, but you get the point. This is a horrible movie. A horrible movie with a bizarre group of people involved in here. You've got Joe Roth, the head of Revolution Studios, who directed this movie. One of the three films he directed, including America's Sweethearts, which, and Freedom Land, which was, meh. This is easily his worst film, though. But this is written by Chris Columbus, who gave us Home Alone, and The Goonies and Gremlins. And this is based off of a book by John Grisham, too. At what point did any of this, did you think that this was based off of a John Grisham book? Because I could tell you, I certainly never would have figured it out. No, it's actually based off of a book called Skipping Christmas, which is one of his rare comedic novels. And I guess somebody at Sony said, we got to make a movie off of this. John Grisham, hey, you got to make something Christmas related, because the money's going to keep coming in with reruns on television years down the road. I mean, it's one of the reasons why movies like Deck the Hall still get played on television, or Surviving Christmas. Bad Christmas movies that have the power to stay on TV for numbers of years later, because hey, we have cable television and reruns all over the place. That's why movies like Love the Coopers still gets played on Freeform every holiday season. A movie that you didn't even know even existed until I mentioned it. But the movie is bad. Like, say what you will about the Santa Claus movies and how the quality got lower and lower with each passing film. Those movies are still much better than anything in this garbage, because as much as you hate the neighborhood for really just cramming their ideals down on these two people, the Cranks are just as bad as they are. I mean, like, not Jamie Lee Curtis in particular, but mostly Tim Allen, who's just playing essentially who Tim Allen is now, kind of an asshole. And, like, yeah, Tim Allen may have done a lot of great things in his career, playing Buzz Lightyear, starring in Galaxy Quest, a lot of great movies, but you know what? The guy's kind of an asshole in real life, too, and this is, I guess, the movie, perfect casting for him, I guess, but the movie just gets really stupid. I mean, this is just an unbelievably illy put together, badly made movie that tries so hard to ripen these cheap emotional moments out of you. Like, one of the characters ends up getting cancer, and they use that as a tactic for you to start crying and get tears, because this could be their last Christmas together. It's just like, I don't give a crap. I don't care if it is Austin. I don't care if it is Austin. Is it Austin Pendleton? Like, I don't care if it is Austin Pendleton. No, it isn't Austin Pendleton. I'm sorry. Like, no, that's the I'm thinking of M. Emmett Walsh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Austin. I didn't mean to criticize you. Let's be honest. You're probably one of the best things about the movie, honestly. Even though you don't really have that much to do. But M. Emmett Walsh. I'm saying it like M. Emmett Walsh is a bad person. But he's not a bad person. This is just a poorly put together movie that just goes for the cheapest levels of comedy, the cheapest aspects of Christmas, and it puts this whole idea, like, if you don't celebrate Christmas like everybody else is, we're going to shun you and make you regret ever wanting to live on this planet. I mean, and those cheap emotional moments are so tacky and so corny. Like, in some ways, you can agree with why Tim Allen is so frustrated, because my daughter decided, out of the blue, 12 hours ago, to just call and say, I'm coming home for Christmas. Make sure you have all the shit I want. And we have to scramble for this. Like, yeah, it makes for cheap comedy hijinks. And yeah, he's acting like an asshole about it. But you know what? You tend to agree with him, because you literally just pull this rabbit out of your hat at the 11th hour. And, like, the movie's just like, no, he's the bad guy. You're supposed to feel bad you're supposed to not feel bad for this guy. You're not supposed to feel good about this guy whatsoever. It's just like, no. Like, I understand where he's coming from. Yeah, he's naturally going to learn a lesson, and he should be upset too. Like, the fact that he had to do this over half a day. He has to go find a tree. She has to go find the hand that she wants. They have to find all the decorations they, I guess, destroyed. The plot continuity makes no sense in this, but no, it gets even the side characters are badly written too. Dan Aykroyd, this is just one of his bad movies. Eric Sullivan, who plays his son, Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle, he comes off in the beginning as this, slick, smart-ass kid, and and he thinks he knows everything. But then when a criminal is caught by the two police officers, played by Cheech Marin and Jake Busey, he's too stupid to figure out that the criminal is playing a con on him, and just lets him go inside of the Crank's house and start stealing shit. Like, that's a plot point that goes nowhere. Austin Pendleton, like I mentioned before, he's this random guy who's like an umbrella salesman who somehow knows everybody, and it actually turns out to be Santa Claus. This is a plot point that comes in 20 minutes before the movie is over. 20 to 30 minutes before the movie is over, I should say. But still, like, it's frustrating for me to even think about how bad this movie is. And as bad as Surviving Christmas is, like, Surviving Christmas is a bad movie. But again, you kind of agree with what they're trying to say in that movie, like what James Gandolfini's family is feeling. Like, this random guy decides to come to our house, plans to burn the house down at first, and then makes it look like he's about to burn the house down, and then he decides, I'll pay you $50,000 to let me stay here for Christmas. I mean, there's at least more likability in the characters of Surviving Christmas than there is in this. And the more I think about it, I think I said at the beginning, Surviving Christmas was worse than Christmas with the Cranks. It really does go back and forth, because Surviving Christmas is a bad movie. But this is just inexplicably awful. This whole movie, the whole idea is, like, nothing about this movie is about what the spirit of Christmas is. It's like another bad Christmas movie we'll eventually get to with Deck the Halls, which is a movie that is basically telling you the true spirit of Christmas isn't about family, friends, good company all around. No. It's about getting your house seen from space, because clearly when you have Christmas lights out there, everybody's house can be seen from space. I mean, who doesn't want that? Trust me, we're going to get into that abomination in about 2 years' time, but 2 years from where we're at right now. But I think I made my point here. I'm going on 10 minutes talking about how bad this movie is. Like, do I even have to say any more? Christmas with the Cranks. If it's not worse than Surviving Christmas, it's definitely one of the worst Christmas movies ever made. Plain and simple. So let's see what Oliver Stone has planned for us next with Alexander. And it was all downhill from there for Oliver Stone. I mean, this guy who had made a lot of great movies before this, some misfires here and there, but was still seen as a reliable director. This was the movie that broke the camel's back for him. The straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. But this is a story about, this is a biopic, not even a biopic, it's a historical drama about the life of the ancient general known as Alexander the Great, who would later become king. It's based off of a original screenplay that was derived in parts from Alexander the Great, which was published in 1973 by the University of Oxford. It stars Colin Farrell. It also features Angelina Jolie, Val Kilmer, Jared Leto, Rosario Dawson, and you hear Anthony Hopkins there in the trailer. And it's just, it's a movie where you can tell the effort is there. It's cool to see Oliver Stone doing something that's very similar to some of the stuff he did back in the day when he wrote the script for, when he was involved with, was he involved in, I thought he was involved in Spartacus, but I'm not seeing it right here. Let me double check. Again, I think I'm getting a lot of shit wrong here. That's how my brain is right now because of the day I've had. He apparently was not involved in Spartacus. I could have sworn he was, but no, he didn't start making it in Hollywood until 1971, and Spartacus, I think, came out in the 60s. So, yeah, that's my fault on that. But, yeah, the bottom line here with the movie is that it's a movie where I think there is a lot of potential here. It's interesting to see a director like Oliver Stone tackle something that's a little bit outside of his norm. This isn't a political thriller. This isn't a drama. This isn't a movie where, you know, it's about a football team or this crazy trick into this abandoned podunk town. This is something that's outside of his norm, and it could be interesting to see him tackle a bigger project than this. I mean, we already saw it earlier in the year with another Warner Brothers epic historical film with Troy, which was a really good film directed by Wolfgang Peterson. And this, not so much. And I think it's mostly because it's one of those movies that has a lot of high ambitions to it. And, of course, with a movie that has this big of a budget of $155 million, and it's an epic film that's supposed to be sold as like this, as sold to a marketable crowd, the studio's going to get involved with it. And there's a number of different cuts of this movie, which there are with this film. There is the 175-minute version, which is the one that is shown in theaters. There's 3 different versions on home video: a director's cut version in 2005, a final cut version in 2007, and an ultimate cut version in 2014. So that is not even a final cut. It's like Blade Runner. Like, they've had all these different versions of Blade Runner, but there's much. But the original one is seen as the classic. But to its credit, this did eventually find life on home video, so I guess there is that. The movie itself, overall, though, is just, there's nothing really about it that makes it unique and interesting. It just feels like a movie that Warner Brothers saw the success of Gladiator, and they wanted their own Gladiator, which Troy pretty much was that movie. But this, I guess, was their backup plan if that movie failed, but this movie ended up failing big time, so either way, they lost. But, yeah, it's just a boring film in general, too. Nothing really interesting happens. It's long. It's way too obnoxious. I expect a whole lot better from somebody like Oliver Stone, who was still seen as a reliable director at the time, and he didn't even reach his... We're not even at the point where his career really began to take a downward spiral. But this was the beginning of it all. Like, this was a film that he made that was one of his first major misfires in general. It was a film that was thrashed by critics, but like I said, he did eventually slowly rebound it with stuff like World Trade Center that came out after this. And even W, the George Bush biopic that he did, was pretty good too. This, not so much. So yeah, hard pass on Alexander. Next time, Closer, House of Flying Daggers, and I Am David. We'll take a look at those 3 movies next time. Hit the like and subscribe button. I gotta go. I'm getting out of here. Bye.